Destructoid.
See his thing, Eric? Brett?
And we are live with Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where every single week we react to the latest Nintendo news and talk about the games we are playing. I'm here today with a group of amazing people. First up, we have Mary Stowe, social media manager and host at Destructoid. How you doing, Mary?
Good.
Awesome. And then we have John Friscia, indie developer and managing editor over at The Escapist. How you doing, John?
And what I say, I'm great, Brett.
What can he say? And then lastly, we have the king, the daddy, the DILF. How you doing, Brett?
I was going to say, I don't have a cool title like these other two, but I've got the
Yours is way cooler. What are you talking about?
I'll take the
jealous.
nickname, yeah.
King Daddy DILF in the house. And then lastly, I'm Brett Medlock, video producer and host here at Destructoid. Today, there's not a lot of topics. We're mainly just going to be talking about one specific thing, maybe two, and it's Square Enix selling off its properties. Nobody saw that coming. Actually, I don't want to say that because they kind of hated all their American-developed games. Like, they were never satisfied ever. But it's a pretty crazy thing that happened, and it's just more crazy purchases that are going on. Like, this has been a crazy industry the past 2 years, so... Before that, though, I do want to say, make sure if you want to be a part of the show, leave a comment down in the comments section below. Not in the live chat, but in the comments section on the YouTube video. Then you can be on next week's episode. It's just that simple. And I just heard a weird bird noise. Anybody else hear that? Was it just
I do
me?
not. I
Eric.
can confirm I do not have a bird.
That was probably Eric once again. Eric,
But I did hear.
last time it was cars. This time it's animals. And then one last thing, please leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts. It would really mean a lot, or on Spotify. That would also mean a lot, just so we can get our numbers up and maybe more people will watch our show. Now, guys, let's get into it. Square Enix selling off major properties like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and ones I'm forgetting. John, go ahead and take it away. What are your thoughts?
Well, I kind of feel like I should go last because I'm going to be basically the Square apologist here.
Oh, wow. There's an
Wow.
apology.
Okay. Well, then
Yeah.
let's just
I
go
didn't see that
to
coming.
Mary. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I kind of surprised, but also not kind of surprised. I feel like there's just been like a lot of like acquisitions, buyouts, people selling. Like clearly, there's just a lot like shifting between the different companies right now. But like once I kind of like read more and like remembered that like they're kind of like getting away from like the Western market, I was like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like JRPGs are what they're really good at. I just still can't grasp how they don't think Tomb Raider is successful though.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Like,
And I heard that Microsoft paid $100 million for the exclusivity of the second game. Like, how did that not
For one game.
yeah.
for 1 year of exclusivity too? It wasn't even
They just sold the
permanent.
entire IP for.
Like lumped in with like a
$300
bunch
million.
of others, yeah, for $300 million. I was like, how do y'all see that as a failure? Like, what numbers are y'all looking at?
Exactly. And for the uninitiated, Embracer Group is the one who purchased all these IPs, and they only bought them for $300 million.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. And not just the IP, but the actual studios. Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, two great developers. Yes, Crystal recently did Avengers, which disappointed a lot of people, but they have still put out a lot of bangers over the years. And the thing that's extremely hard is creating a studio. We've seen it time and time again. Google Stadia tried creating their own studio, failure. And then Microsoft tried doing the Coalition, which was, or not the Coalition, the Initiative, which was like, they tried it, and then they're like, oh man, this is hard. Let's just hire Crystal Dynamics, and then they can develop the game for us. So the fact that they're selling off these full studios that are complete, they have everyone they need already. I feel like, well, first off, I'm sad that Embracer Group is the one that got them, because that just doesn't seem that exciting to me, because they haven't really laid anything out like previously that shows that they're capable of running these types of brands and companies. But anyway, I don't remember what I was saying, but I think it's crazy. And Brett, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, It is crazy, but just like Mary said, like at this point, nothing surprises me anymore. Like, if 2 years ago, if I would have woke up to this news, I'd have been like, "Holy shit, that is crazy." But like considering in the last couple of years, we've had the Bethesda thing, we had Activision, we had Bungie with Sony, and now this. It's like literally nothing surprises me anymore. But what does surprise me is the amount that they just sold it off for. Like they let some huge IPs go for peanuts, basically. Like if I'm looking at this, like Sony just spent how many billions on Bungie, and they really only have one game that they're making.
Yeah,
Was it like 3 billion?
it was. I can't remember the Bungie deal. Bungie purchase. Sony.
And they're not even bringing in
0.6.
Yeah.
how much? 3.6?
Yeah, billion.
Okay, $3.6 billion. And by all means, Destiny is a huge moneymaker. But they're not even bringing them in as like an official PlayStation Studios.
Yeah, they're just remaining the same.
Yeah, I mean, so it's almost like kind of like it never even happened. But what's nuts to me is where was Microsoft and Sony? Like, if
Yeah.
I have the hardest time believing that if Microsoft and Sony knew that Square was selling off Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, what other properties are involved in this? Legacy of Kain,
Yeah, Legacy
Yeah,
of
Legacy of
Kain,
Kain.
Legacy X,
Legacy
Thief,
of Kain,
a
Thief. If
few
they had
others.
known that even just those games they were selling off for just $300 million, I have the hardest time believing that
That they would
Sony
be like,
wouldn't have
no.
doubled. They would have paid double that. You know, they would
Yeah.
have given $500, $600 million for that. So Tomb Raider alone is such a household name. Like how they just got rid of that, and like Mary said, how did they consider that not profitable or not beneficial? But it all kind of goes back to like Square's expectations are too high on things. Just like with Guardians of the Galaxy, that was a phenomenal game, but they flat out came out and were so down on it. They're like, "Oh, it failed to live up to our expectations." Well, what the fuck are your expectations? Because that
Right?
was
Well,
an
dude,
amazing game.
the thing is that Square Enix, they obviously want a successful service game. They tried it with Avengers, they tried it with this Chocobo Racing, they tried it with Babylon's Fall, and it's not happening for them. And they're like, well,
Right.
well, screw that. But in the midst of all this, they make a Guardians of the Galaxy game, which is honestly Game of the Year material. It's
Phenomenal.
that good.
Phenomenal game.
And the
Mhm.
marketing was so bad.
Mhm.
How was it
Yep.
so bad? Like I wasn't even excited. I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I wasn't even excited for
Yeah.
that game because the marketing was terrible.
You know
They
why?
showed us the worst
You know
spot.
why?
What? Why?
I was going to say, you know why? Because first of all, because of the marketing, and second of all, because we were just so burned on the Avengers. We
Yeah,
just had
that
expected
too.
another Avengers like type, or that we expected that kind of experience from them.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
One thing that kind of stood out to me is Tomb Raider. So I did a little bit of research, and over the lifetime span of Tomb Raider, it has made $88 million for that. $38 million of the 88 were from the reboot trilogy. So clearly this is an IP that is going in the right direction, and they're just like, nah, it's not really that important, and just kind of got rid of it. So
Do you mean the units sold
Yeah.
overall? Not dollars
Was
made.
it
Right?
was it dollars or units?
Units. I think
I read it.
83
It could have
billion
been units. Maybe I read that wrong. But regardless, almost half of what it did were from the reboot trilogy. So I guess my point was it is clearly trending in a good direction. And I think 3 of the best games of all the Tomb Raider games ever in its existence were the last 3.
Yeah.
Pretty wild to me to just let that go for what they did.
Yeah, they're a confusing company, and I have plenty more to say, but I know John's been holding in his thoughts because he's going to defend them because he's the Square Enix fanboy. No, I'm just kidding. John, what are your thoughts?
I mean, not completely inaccurate. Well, like I'm surprised at the people that are upset about Square selling these properties because as we've basically just discussed, like Square's not that interested in these IPs in the first place. And if they're not interested in these IPs, like wouldn't you want them to get rid of them to somebody that would theoretically like value them higher?
But I guess my question is, and sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but why
No, go
don't
ahead.
they value these higher? Why
Yeah.
do they not value these? That's what I don't understand. That's what I
Yeah.
don't get.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, Tomb Raider is a household thing. They've
Yeah,
had
well-
movies, Angelina Jolie, like it's massive.
Yeah,
Tomb
I was
Raider is
like,
so big.
And
I
it
don't-
could, like, it's an IP that I feel like could change and like be reshaped in different ways to continue to be relevant over the years.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And
John.
Sorry, John. I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going. I'm
no,
sorry.
no. You've had several good points. Like I hadn't even thought about that. Like what you said. Like why not have like Sony or Microsoft buy them? That's totally true. I hadn't thought of that at all. But
That's so shocking that like Xbox is already working with Crystal Dynamics. Like, how did they
Right.
not? Like, what is happening? Like,
And Sony's working with Square on multiple projects too. Like, how did this not happen for one of those two? I don't understand that.
that
yes,
that
exactly.
that is a great mystery. Yeah. No, I had not considered that at all. But now I'm intensely wondering about that as well. But I guess getting back to what I was saying though, like I Embracer buys stuff like all the time now. It feels like if you go look up the list of how many different things they own, it's like really large. And I think some of their largest are like THQ Nordic and yeah, that's right. They even have Saber Interactive, Koch Media, they have
that's huge.
Gearbox.
Saber,
I didn't know.
Gearbox.
Yeah,
Yeah, they even
acquiring
own Dark
stuff
Horse.
left and right.
Yeah, they have Gearbox.
I didn't
Dark
know
Horse
that.
Comics. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I was shocked to
they're
learn. I had
getting
no idea
massive.
they own Dark Horse Comics. So like
Yep.
they have their fingers in like several pies, and I'm assuming that I'm just spitballing here. I'm assuming their strategy is like buy up IPs that people know but aren't like as big as Mario for example, and then just like keep watering those seeds and like try to get them all up to that level. I presume that's what their strategy is. So I think Embracer might be the right place to send these IP if they actually care, because like
Yeah.
THQ's, for instance, is like pumping stuff out all the time. They actually they for the media they're having a conference of some sort pretty soon, actually, just to talk about their upcoming projects. So like they have a lot of stuff in the pipeline that they're enthusiastic to talk about, and it kind of feels like a lot of Embracer's like IPs are like that. Like Koch Media, they're the ones with the Hot Wheels racing game, and we
Yeah,
get
And
emails
Metro.
about we get emails about
Metro.
that game like every month. Like it's a Hot Wheels game, but like they're really staying on top of marketing this game. So like I
Yeah.
don't know, like again, like
Like
Embracer is
where
not.
did they even come from? Like I feel like I didn't even know who Embracer Group was like 6 months ago, and then now they like own everything.
Yeah, I'm looking at their website and I was like, I didn't realize all of these were owned by
Yeah, it's
Embracer
nuts.
Group.
Yeah,
I mean, think
it's
about it. Oh, sorry, John.
They
no,
so
I
quietly
think it's
did
like some
this.
sort of like transformation of THQ Nordic, something like that.
Yeah, I saw this
Okay,
funny meme that was like a picture of a domino falling, and then it like led to a bunch of different things. And the very beginning domino was THQ invests everything in UDraw and goes out of business, and then it's like a bunch of dominoes falling, and then
I saw
at the very end it says, Embracer Group buys Square Enix IP or something like that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. So, and just to like remind people, yeah, THQ Nordic is not it's not THQ. THQ died and then this other company basically like bought the THQ name because they knew it had brand recognition. So this
Yeah.
is a totally
That's
different
true,
entity
yeah.
that's basically doing better than like THQ maybe ever was.
Yeah, that's a
Seems
good
like
point.
it. I mean,
People
it's
forget
crazy that now some of the biggest IP, like Embracer, is definitely one of the biggest publishers in the world now. Like they have
Oh,
Tomb
easily.
Raider,
Yeah.
Deus Ex, Borderlands, and Metro. Like those are crazy big names
Mhm.
Huge.
and games that I feel like maybe aside from like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which sort of let people down, I feel like like the next Metro is going to be huge. I think because the last one was
Yeah.
way bigger than the last two
I
before
can't.
that. And I can't wait for that game. Me and Brett are so excited.
Oh my God. I love those games so much.
So yeah, I feel like if this company can handle it, they own like over 850 IP now or something crazy like that.
Jesus Christ.
So if they can handle it, I'm happy. But I still just can't believe a more, I don't know, trusting company didn't purchase Square Enix IP. Like Even
Yeah.
like Nintendo, like where was Nintendo at? Like I'm sure they would love that kind of stuff.
Nintendo
Or
don't care.
Can you
especially
imagine
Sony
if
and
it,
Microsoft.
can you
They don't
imagine
want
if like
legacy of
PlayStation
games.
loves PlayStation loves like their picture of like the PlayStation Studios, where it's like a sliver of each of like their
Mhm.
studios. Can you imagine if they had like Tomb Raider as one of the one of the games there on the
It'd
side? Like,
be
what? How did they drop
yeah.
the
Why
ball
wouldn't
so
Microsoft,
much?
dude? Microsoft,
I
like
think
a big criticism for Microsoft has been like, where's your version of Uncharted? And that's why they went out and
right.
did the Tomb Raider deal. But that passed now. But people are still asking, where's your Uncharted? I feel like these IP would have been the thing that they're lacking, which is like
Yeah.
that story-driven cinematic game. Because they definitely got like first-person shooters, Western RPGs, and a ton of different stuff, but they are lacking that one thing that Sony's thriving at. So I feel like it would have made the most sense for Microsoft to buy all these, but I don't
What's
know.
what's
Either one.
What's crazy to me is we just talked about this either today or last night, Brett. Um, a few weeks ago, Sony invested $1 billion in Epic Games,
Yeah, like where was that?
but they didn't buy Tomb Raider for 300 million. Like, what are you doing? You invested $1 billion into Epic that isn't even yours. You just invested it. And
Well, if
like, I know
Square
Epic is huge. I know Epic is massive, but
I
like
think they see
that to
that
me
Unreal.
seems like it. Yeah,
I
for
think
sure, for sure.
yeah, like I think Unreal Engine 5 is going to be massive. And I
Absolutely.
think Sony sees that, and so they're putting and more money into Epic because that means every transaction that happens, Sony gets
For
a
sure.
piece of it.
For sure. And from a business like standpoint, I can understand that too. And I almost think maybe Microsoft didn't get in because they're still wrapped up in the Activision deal as well, or else they may have
Definitely.
jumped on top of it. So
They're probably
I don't
kicking
know.
themselves right now.
Yeah, there could be reasons for why they didn't get involved. Both of them.
Now, this probably isn't it like at all because I don't think businesses actually care about this. They only care about the money. But the only thing that's coming to mind for me about why maybe these IPs didn't go to someone like PlayStation or Xbox is that like maybe the developers themselves have like a strong desire to stay like platform agnostic and maybe they actually took that into consideration during the
That's what
sales
I was gonna
process.
say. I was like,
Mm.
it sounds almost conspiracy theory like
I
ish,
mean,
but like, what if they were like, no, we don't want Sony or Microsoft to own these. Like, we want it. And they approached like Embracer Group to keep Sony and Microsoft out of the deal.
well, but at the same
Yeah.
time, Sony is showing signs of going the PC route, and Xbox is already console, PC, and phones via cloud streaming. So I feel like being owned by, especially Xbox, isn't really that different than being owned by like a third party publisher. Um, but and then Sony, I feel like in 10 years we're not even gonna be thinking about it, and games will be releasing on like PlayStation games will be releasing like day one on PC, probably streaming on phones and on obviously their consoles. And I feel like Xbox, I mean, they're already doing that, so I don't know. I'm just
I,
kind of
I wouldn't I wouldn't bank on PlayStation to make any drastic shift like that anytime soon.
I feel like they're putting Uncharted on PC. Like they have a
And
God of
how
War and
old is
Horizon on
Uncharted,
PC.
Brett?
They put Horizon. Oh wait, God of War 2018 is not that old. That's on PC.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the Series X being like the best selling console, or the series in general being the best selling console this year so far, shows that if your games are on PC, it doesn't mean people who play consoles aren't going to buy your console. Like I think Sony is probably realizing that more and more, and I think sooner rather than later they're going to be doing like day one releases on PC and on console. But that's not even what we were talking about. So let's go back to Embracer.
The Embracer, the group that everybody's learning about for the first time, even though we've heard about them for several years.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I've always heard their name floating around, and it was like, oh, that's cool. They bought Metro. That's a good series, and then they announced Metro 4 is coming out, or 3, yeah, 4. So I was excited, but then it's like, man, they're getting like a lot of things now. Like they have Tomb Raider. That's freaking massive.
Yeah.
That's all.
Although I
That's
wouldn't
sorry.
Metro specifically, I wouldn't count on coming out anytime too soon. You know why?
Why? Oh yeah, because of
Ukraine.
yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
So
that's
that
true.
sucks.
That really
Yeah.
sucks. Same
Yeah.
with that other game that looks really good. Stalker 2 looks really good, but that was affected
Oh
by
yeah,
all
that's
that.
right. That's another
That's
one that's
right.
like
I always
wrapped
think
up
of
right in the
those as
middle of
being
that.
like the same thing.
They kind of are. I think they come from the
Yeah.
same like core group of people that all started these things at the same time.
That would
Like
make sense if that were the
I
case.
think like one of the Metro games was originally a Stalker 2 and then they changed the IP. It was like something weird like that. Sort of like all the Fallout stuff with Obsidian and Bethesda, like how it was all weird in the beginning and then they ended up making two different franchises that were really similar. Like how Wasteland's basically Fallout 3 because it's like an actual like top-down style game like that. Then again, I never played Wasteland, so I could just be talking out my ass right now. Anyway, let's just go to the next topic of today, which is what's that pirate game?
Assassin's
Bones.
Creed.
Skull and Bones.
I
That
did want
game,
to say real quick on the Embracer Group. I did want to say real quick, with them acquiring what they did, there's one game that they acquired the rights to that no one's really talking about because they kind of just got shut down as a sequel happening. But I hope that someone gets a fire lit up their ass and they actually make a sequel for it now, and that's Sleeping Dogs. I don't know if you guys ever played Sleeping Dogs, but I loved that game, and it kind of just got lost in the shuffle under the Square Enix umbrella, and now Embracer owns the rights to it. So hey, maybe someone there's a fan, and they're like, hey, let's make a sequel to this game. That'd be cool. So anyway,
fun fact:
cool.
Sleeping Dogs was originally True Crime 3, and then they changed the name. And then another fun fact: Sleeping Dogs 2 was going to be an MMO that got canceled. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So hopefully,
That's cool.
Yeah, no.
hopefully they
And-
make an actual sequel. That'd be great for a lot of people.
One of my
Do it for
favorite
Brett.
games that I never talk about.
Oh,
I
until
need
now.
to play that.
So now,
I,
Yeah, I
um,
never played that one.
It's so damn good.
It got the 60 FPS patch on Xbox, so I've been tempted to start it. And it looks like my style of game, but I'm just been playing random stuff now, so I don't even know what's going on with my games I'm playing. But we'll get to that.
It's some of the most fun, like, and satisfying fighting and action in any game ever. Still to this day, like how you can use the environments in ways to take down enemies and stuff like that. It's so much fun.
I'm surprised John hasn't played it. Seems like a game John would have played.
Yeah, with I guess it's kind of got like a Yakuza
Slightly
feel to
Yakuza.
Yeah.
Well,
it.
I didn't know I loved Yakuza until like late last year. So.
Yeah, that's true. Now
Yeah.
it's the main thing I associate you with is Yakuza.
Well, I'll save more of this for later, but I think I'm finally ready to say that like Yakuza's actually joined my like favorite game franchises.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
The
My
more
favorites
I
have
hear
always
you
been
talk
like
about it, the more I'm like, I need to start this. But like I said before, I know that once I start one, if I like it, it's going to be like just this bottomless pit that I'm never going to get get out of. Because there's
It's
how
a
many games now?
commitment.
6 plus
Like
0.
7.
it's 7.
There's like 7 of them, and they're not short
Or-
games either.
Well, actually no, wait, there's including 0, yeah, there's 8, and then there's 2 Judgment games.
Yeah, so
man,
just like Judgment's sort of
those
like
are the ones.
yeah.
I have literally had had the cursor to buy Judgment and lost Judgment like 10 times, and I'm like, no, I don't know if I'm really gonna like it or not. So I just need to do it.
I bought them on sale on a whim at a GameStop like several months ago, and I'll get to them eventually. You know, it's Yakuza's like my extra part-time job now. Like that's how much time it takes to get through all of these. So yeah, but
That's funny.
anyway, to bring things full circle, and I will give my 2 cents quick, and then we can move on. With Square, like for me specifically, like I can't complain at all because all I want from them is cool RPGs, and that's like what they've gone back to doing. They had like
Yeah.
a decade where they were kind of like went out into the desert and they were trying all these weird different things, and like that's kind of probably how they got their hands on Tomb Raider and all that. And me personally, I don't care about any of those things. Don't care at all. Tomb Raider dies, whatever.
Son
So
of a-
Whoa.
Actually-
Or dies whatever.
I think
Wow.
aside from a demo disc for the original Tomb Raider on PlayStation 1, I don't think I've ever played the franchise at all. I'd never
Wow.
thought about that before.
You haven't
Yeah.
played any of the new trilogy?
Dude, play the
Oh,
first
okay,
one. I honestly
okay.
think you'll like
I
it.
have no interest at all in those games.
Dude, the
but
first
yeah.
one's so good.
They're so
Eh.
damn good.
You'd
Do
have
you
to
like
pay me to
Uncharted
play it.
games? Not like
I
they're
liked
like
I liked the
identical to
first
Uncharted.
3. The fourth one put me in a coma. I liked the first 3.
I would say they're pretty similar to Uncharted. I mean, they've
I
definitely
mean, yeah,
they're
they're more
definitely
than
different
similar, to
games.
be honest.
They
But
look
yeah,
more
I mean,
depressing
there's a
though.
reason why people talk about them in the same breath all the time. You know,
Yeah.
if you
Okay.
like the first 3 Uncharted games, you would like. I would say just try one. Once you get out of the Yakuza and you're like, I don't know what to play right now. I really think
There's no
you
getting
could
out
give
of
it a
the
try.
Yakuza, Brett. That's how it works. Once you're in, you're in.
That's literally how it works.
but anyway, yeah, I'm really pleased with how like Square's doing like a million different RPGs right now, and they're not all AAA, and they're not all like just like remasters either. They're doing like the full suite. It's crazy. It's like everything I ever wanted them to do, they're doing at this very moment. So I personally can't complain about what they're doing at all. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I on an episode of the Destructoid show, I went on a rant and I was like, they don't know what they're doing. They need to stop with the service games and get back to what they're good at. Big titty anime games. Now let's get back
Right.
to the topics of the day, which is Skull and Bones. This game
Skull and
looks
Bones,
really
baby.
boring.
This
This
game looks
obviously isn't a
terrible.
Switch game, but I figured it's like one of the few news topics that happens, so might as well just talk about it.
Some footage dropped, I think yesterday or today, and immediately they took it back down because it started getting such bad feedback because it
I
looked
think
so bad.
it leaked, right? I
Yeah,
thought,
it was leaked, I think.
I thought it
yeah.
was an
Oh,
official
okay.
drop, and then they took it down.
Maybe
Either
they
way,
dropped it early.
whatever came out, they took everything off the internet because they're like, okay, this is not.
Well, what
getting
we're
very
seeing
good
now, I
reception.
think, is that leak of that. Like the whole presentation leaked. Like they still have a presentation. I think they plan on doing. That's this presentation that's already available for everyone to watch. Like it doesn't make sense.
Error.
But yeah, I don't think this is the leaked footage because
Yeah.
apparently like it would get taken. This video would get taken too if we did
Oh,
show
okay.
that.
Then,
So
then
there's
maybe
stuff
I
there's
hope
stuff
it's
that
not.
actually came out showing like the player versus player stuff, and
Oh, okay.
apparently it was so bad. I hadn't seen it yet either, but I've known from the get go that this was not going to be. I mean, an entire game where all you are is in a ship fighting other ships, like. That's
The
fun
thing
in
is-
Assassin's Creed because it's only a part of the game, not the entire
Yeah.
game.
In
you
Assassin's
know?
Creed 4, which is the best Assassin's Creed game, easily.
Yes.
Um,
100%.
it was nice to break up the pacing of the game. Like you're doing something different,
Right.
and it didn't overstay its welcome. I couldn't imagine doing only that for hours. Like that, I would be so bored. And this honestly doesn't look that different than that battling. Like it plays
It-
very similar, looks very similar.
So apparently, the only time you leave your boat, and I wrote this down because it cracked me up, is to pick up quests, to talk to locals, and to upgrade your boat. Like there's no off the boat exploring. There's no like you talk to a couple people. If you want to raid a settlement, you pull your boat up to the shore and you fire cannons into the settlement, and then your crew goes out and does the work for you, and then brings back all like the loot and everything that it got from that settlement. Like you never actually leave your boat when you raid a settlement. Like that, it sounds awful.
Do you
Yeah.
Do you
That
even
sounds
like
so
run
boring.
around your boat to go to like different stations, or do you only just control the boat and
Just-
the cannons?
Just stand there the whole
think
time.
I think you might be able to move around inside your boat, but even that sounds terrible. Like, how much fun could that be?
I mean, I feel like-
it sounds like a poor man's Sea of Thieves. And what's funny is they were originally calling this a quadruple A experience.
They said
They're
that
saying
about this game?
they said this is going to be a quadruple A experience, and like
Sure,
this
they
has
didn't
got to be
mean it was an experience.
yeah,
Yeah, that's probably
sounds
what they
more
meant.
like it.
An R experience.
But yeah, this is just looks bad, really bad.
Well, the way you're describing it, it sounds to me like I'm spacing out on that rare game, but like with less features.
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sea
of
it's
Thieves.
basically
That's what I'm
like
saying. Like it's a poor man's Sea of Thieves. Like you never, at least in Sea of Thieves,
Like-
you leave the boat, you explore, you can
Yeah, there's,
swim in
like,
the water, go
underwater,
below the
yeah.
boat. Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's the Sea of Thieves actually evolved into something that's now pretty cool. But this
Yeah,
is just
I think
Terrible.
when it came to Steam, right, is when it suddenly like really like found a player base.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
took a little bit for it to get up off the ground from what I remember.
Yeah.
Like, it had a bit of a
Yeah.
rough launch.
yeah, rough launch,
Yeah.
didn't review that well, and then now it's like got like a thriving like
Yeah.
fan base.
We played.
But
we
yeah, like
played some of
the best part of Sea of Thieves is moving around and being a pirate, like
Right.
diving under the sea, seeing all the fish, go collecting treasure under the sea, or like swinging off your boat in Assassin's Creed. It was like the best part. Like when you swing off of it, jump on someone else's boat, start killing them. That was amazing, and that's not in this game. Like nothing about what was cool about those Pirates games is in this one. So yeah, I don't know what I feel like they honestly. The feedback on the Assassin's Creed 4 boating, I remember being overwhelmingly positive, but I think they took it too much to heart, and they're like, people love this, we should make a whole game that's this. And it's like, no, we just loved that portion because it broke things up. It was fun like while it lasted, but it's not like this amazing thing that everyone wants to do for hours upon hours. At least not me or
Right.
anyone I know.
Yeah.
And like I said, the reason that was so successful in the game is because it was just a small part of the game. It wasn't like the game, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm the minority when it comes to like the being in the ship in the Assassin's Creed games though. I personally am bored to tears when I'm in a ship in Assassin's Creed games. I hate the ship battles. I don't like any of that. So this has always to me been like a no game.
I don't mind it as long as it's not the only thing you're doing the entire game.
For sure.
Well, and like,
I mean, sorry, man.
no, I was gonna say like this game has been scrapped and started over how many times, and this is what they've given us so far. I don't know. I'm like, where did y'all start then? And what was scrapped, and how did we end up here?
I forget.
At this point, just
is it
drop
Malaysia
the game
that's been making
because
the game?
What?
Isn't it like Malaysia or the Philippines that's been making this game?
I can't
Ubisoft
remember.
has like a million different.
Yeah, they have tons, and their names are so boring.
Yeah.
Is it Ubisoft Montreal?
Well, yeah, it's all Montreal and then name of location.
Oh, God.
Okay, Brett, I thought you were crazy, but they actually did call it a quadruple A game.
Yeah, I
can't remember
I did a bit
that.
of research on this today.
Okay, it's apparently being developed in
Ubisoft
Singapore.
Okay.
Speaking of Ubisoft, did you guys see today? It was actually, and this isn't coming to Switch, but I don't know, maybe it is. I can't remember. The Prince of Persia remake Switch developers now. Ubisoft Montreal is developing it, and they're a much bigger team. So I'm hoping that it's actually going to look a lot better and be a lot better. What?
I said so. It could end up being
getting like a
in the
ton of
long run.
TV static every time you talk.
Sorry, hang on.
Sorry.
Talk amongst yourselves while I'm gone for a minute.
Okay.
No problem, bud. I don't know. For me, it's kind of like not even fair for me to talk about a game like Skull and Bones just because like I don't know, for some reason the instant I see a pirate in like anything, I get bored and tune out. I'm like anti-pirate for some reason. So it's not fair.
I'm kind of the same way. Like if you know that show on TV on Stars called like Black Sails, I think. Black Sails?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that.
It's a really big show and like was received like very well. So like I decided to start it and like I'm really big into like the Norse and like Viking stuff. So I was like it's kind of in the same line as that kind of stuff. So maybe I'll like Black Sails, and it just bored me to tears. I watched 4 episodes and I'm like I can't do it. I can't. It's just boring me to tears. So I know what you mean for sure.
Cool. Yeah. I don't even know why I'm so anti-pirate. Like, I don't know. I genuinely don't. Maybe I'll have to like do some deep soul searching there.
I really want to get back
Thieves
to.
was fun though. Me and Brett did the DLC on. It was the Pirates of the Caribbean DLC, right?
Yeah, and it was really good. But then you stopped playing with me, you son of a.
Well, the other reason we stopped, remember, it was really buggy. It was fun, but there were some bugs we had with it and some issues. Yeah, we should go back and finish that because that was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, and like there was that glitch at the very end of the first quest where we had to literally do the whole thing all over again because a boat left without us.
The boat.
It was terrible.
No, you got on the boat, so we were on this like small little skiff, and we had to go to the larger boat. Brett got on the larger boat, but for some reason my character glitched and stayed on the smaller boat. And the boat Brett was on just took off into the distance, and I'm like trying to catch up. I'm like, dude, I'm not on the boat.
Oh.
And it wouldn't even load the next place or nothing.
The mission that was literally the last thing you had to do to complete the first episode or whatever. And because I wasn't on the boat and I couldn't catch up and get on the boat, we just had to start the whole thing over. So that sucked.
Oh man.
So that kind of like made us like we were discouraged a little bit, but it was
But
fun.
didn't we end up beating the second level as well, the second quest?
Yeah,
I thought we did.
We did the first and second, but then the third
like
one
3
we got
more.
stuck again. Remember, we had CJ's girlfriend jump on, and she was trying to help us because we were stuck again.
I thought we
had a
figured
couple
that.
of-
Okay, this isn't even important. Let's just, let's
anyways.
just talk about something. What's everybody playing? Mary, what are you playing?
I'll say quick fun fact. I just found out there's apparently supposed to be a Skull and Bones TV series. What happened to
What?
that?
Jesus
I just
Christ,
dropped it in the
please,
Discord.
please no.
That tweet is
Please
like
no.
so old, but like, and the article isn't even there anymore. That's from 2019.
The
but
article's gone.
Ouch.
article's deleted from the website. It's
They're like,
very early in
"Whoopsie."
development, but shaping up to be awesome. I'm like, okay.
God,
Liar.
please no. And the whole show was on a ship too. The camera never
The whole
leaves
show.
the boat.
He never leaves. Oh man.
Well,
Why would they not
I
just
found
make
the
it?
old link? It was going to be a female-driven show. This was an exclusive at the Hollywood Reporter.
Interesting.
So those poor women might be out of a job.
Oh.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Because dude, I wonder
if
with
they
never
needed
mind.
any more
We can get in this another time. I was gonna say I wonder is this like the end of Ubisoft as we know it, like putting out trash like this? Like they've already been like kind of digressing year after year. I mean, they still put out. I am a big Ubisoft fan, kind of like you. You're a Square apologist. I'm a Ubisoft apologist. I love the Far Cry games. I love the Watchdog games. I love the Assassin's Creed games. So I'll forgive them for the shit they put out because I love those 3 series so much. But it's like other than those 3 series, like there's so much garbage, and they're backing so many just terrible things.
I just don't understand. They are currently making all service games aside from like probably 2, and they're both remakes: Splinter Cell and Prince of Persia. Why can't you just make a normal game like you used to?
Yeah.
That wasn't
Just make
like
a sequel.
just make a new Splinter
redo.
Cell. Like, why are you
Yeah.
remaking? Like, it's cool.
They
it's
are making a new
exciting.
Splinter Cell. Oh no! Yeah, that's the
But
remake.
it's a
never mind.
It's the remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
So
cool.
I
but
just don't
I
understand.
think, yeah.
Well, I mean, there are the reports that like allegedly they might be like seeking someone to buy the company, which would be a shame. But like, if they're floundering as hard as they appear to be floundering from the outside, I understand why maybe they'd go that route.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
man. I mean, it's
They,
it's another Square Enix Western Division thing where they've got their hands on these IPs that are huge moneymakers, and like, I don't know, they're just like pissing it away. I don't get it.
I mean, this
Maybe
is
they don't
still
make
so
as much
strange
money
to
as
me.
we think.
It's just bizarre to me that like
Surprised, yeah.
for every Hyperscape and X Defiant that they're creating, like I always say,
Right.
that could have been a good single player game or like just a different idea, but they were both obviously just trying to be Fortnite and Call of Duty. Like nothing they do really is exciting, and I don't know, I just don't really care for a lot of their stuff, like
Fans
really
have
ever,
been
but especially lately.
Fans have literally been begging for another Splinter Cell for like 8 years now, and instead they give us X Defiant. Like that's where that's the state of Ubisoft right now, which is kind of sad to me because I love some of their franchise IPs so much.
Yeah.
And they introduced that game as Tom Clancy's X Defiant.
And
As
then
if
they
this
deleted
dead
it.
man would have backed
And
this.
then they're like, no, yeah, that's not gonna work.
They said it was punk rock mosh pit FPS madness or something like that. I was like, oh my god, Tom
That's what I
Clancy.
think of with Tom Clancy.
No.
Now, Mary, what are you playing?
Okay. So I'm playing Tunic. I had to take a break from it though, because without like getting spoilery, the puzzles get really challenging and it made me feel really dumb.
Yeah.
I had to take a quick
sucks.
little break from it, and so I just stared at my bookshelf, looked at my backlog, gave it a good once over, and I was like, "All right, Astral Chain." So
Nice.
it's
Ooh,
t-
great
10 out
game.
of
so
10 game.
Is this the
I
first time you played it?
yes, it's been in my
Oh, great
backlog
game.
for forever. I was really iffy about it because at first I was like, I can't tell what kind of game this is gonna be. I'm gonna wait and hear like what people think of it. And then everyone was like, no, like it's really underrated. You have to check it out. I don't get why more people aren't talking about it. And yeah, like I'm really enjoying it. The combat like feels really like different because it is, but like I like it. It's not hard to like get used to controlling like your character and the Legion and trying to like get those combos and like work together pretty much.
Yeah, I can't believe like the first time I played the game, I was immediately in love with everything about it, and just like even the story and the characters, like all the setup, the world, I was like, okay, this is obviously gonna be huge. This is gonna be an anime.
Yeah.
It's gonna be massive. And then it
Yeah.
just came out and no one really talks about it. It sold like over 1 million units, which was
It was like,
good, but
but just over 1 million or something like that, right?
yeah, and like
Yeah.
no, it's not regarded as like this spectacular game that I personally think it
No.
is. So it's just really sad.
Yeah.
Honestly,
But
like to me, it was like game of the year material when it came out. Like, so I
mhm.
was
Definitely.
surprised. Like you said, 1 million units is nothing to sneeze at. But to me, like as good as that game is, that should have done 5 times.
I remember I was playing Astral Chain at the same time as Control, and they both had astral plane areas like that, like
Mhm.
the like
Yeah.
interdimension area with that has like the black different scaled
Yeah.
like environments, and so I kept comparing them to each other, and I was just having a horrible time with Control and loving Astral Chain. And I thought the reception that Control got was going to be how Astral Chain was, but it was like the complete opposite. Not that Control's terrible, but it did just make me mad in a lot of ways. But I'll get into that in a different episode.
But yeah.
That's why you don't like Control that much. Now that all just started making sense.
All Astral
'Cause
Chains.
you've
All
always kind of been down on Control, and I'm not like
Dude,
the
it's
biggest Control fan in the world. I still don't know how it won Game of the Year from some like
no, oh my
major,
god,
but,
there were some really good
but I
games that
still
year.
liked it. Wasn't Death Stranding out that year? And, anyway, we don't have to
I
get
think
into
that was the year after.
remember.
it. So. No,
So
it
so
was
you're
the same
playing
year.
Tunic. I still want to get to Tunic. There's so many games I'm playing right now, mostly all old ass games, but yeah, a lot of
It's
backlog stuff I'm getting through.
Yeah, Tunic's really fun, really cute. It's gonna make you think though, and like I said, some of those puzzles, I was like, I was not expecting to have to think this hard when I was playing this game because you can't read the booklet, you can't read the language.
Yeah, I heard
You
it's
kind
like
of
Yeah.
this
yeah.
huge fan project to try and figure out what all of it means. And I think did they finally reveal all the words? Because
Uh,
it's actually written, but it is in like a
yeah.
secret language. It's crazy.
I'll have to go look it up and see how much progress they made on it because like the book, it's really fun. It's really interesting way of like deciphering some of like the images and the glyphs because
Mhm.
like what's in that book and finding new pages and all of a sudden you're getting the other half to a page that was missing and then something does make sense but then other parts of it I was like I walked by this like 25 times and did not understand what to
Yep.
do.
hmm
I am so bad at
Right.
puzzles, so that's kind of a turn off for the game for me. So I don't know.
So I
I'm
thought
sure I'll still
you
get
beat
to
it,
it.
Brett. Did you know?
I didn't play
Okay,
it.
so you haven't played it. Okay, so I didn't tell you. I did start Tunic, but I'm the same as Mary. I got to a point where I literally ran around for an hour straight and can't figure out where to go next. Like I went from one
Mm,
end of the map to the other end of the map like 5 times. I'm like, I just don't know where to go next. I don't. And it made me
that's
feel so
unfortunate.
dumb and frustrated that I'm like, okay, I don't like it's taking the fun that I was having when I was still like learning things and progressing is all just completely stopped because I have no idea where to go. So I mean, maybe if I just had a little bit of a nudge to tell me where to go next, I could like start to pick it up and go for. I liked it
Just
until it made me feel like an idiot.
get back to Death's Door. That's the one that's a
Yeah,
similar style
me
game that
too.
I loved. Um,
Did any of you guys ever
After I
play The
never felt
Witness?
play
Ever
what,
play what?
John?
The Witness?
a
No,
little bit
I've,
of it.
I
But that's
didn't.
one of those,
Just
Um,
John, I
puzzles.
hear are like insanely like you have to like write stuff down to figure out where to go next. Like it's that like in depth with the puzzle.
Yeah, so it was the follow-up game. Yeah, there it is. The follow-up game from the guy who made it was like
Braid.
yeah, Sprayed, thank you. That was like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first like major hit indie game more or less.
Yeah.
And this game like it makes you feel like a stone cold moron. Like
Right. It really
there's
does.
there's there's one puzzle that to this day like my official stance is it's impossible, and if you think you've solved it, you're a liar and you're deluded. It's impossible. Like I never beat it. Like I really enjoyed it and I played a lot of it, but I finally just hit a wall where I was like, well, I I
Yeah,
I
that
don't
sucks.
have the mental capacity to figure out what to do beyond this point, and I don't want to just Google the answer. So,
Yeah.
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 but
It's just not
it's
as fun
good
when you have to
until you hit
Google
the
it.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in a
Yeah, it
game
kind
where
of takes
like
the fun out of
figuring
it.
it out is the whole point.
That's the whole point, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why,
Yeah.
like, even though I was stuck on Tunic for an hour, if that was like Metro, for example, and I was stuck for an hour, the point of Metro wasn't to figure out a puzzle on where to go next. So I would probably just
Right.
look that up. But the whole point of
Yeah.
Tunic is like you're supposed to figure it out as you go. So like, I wanted to look up where to go next, but at the same time, I felt like that would have diluted my experience. So
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah.
really hope that gets to Switch because that's where I would prefer to play it.
Yeah. I'll go back to it, but I just needed to change and the pace up a little bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
John, what have you been playing? Yakuza?
Take a guess. Yeah, just last night I finished Yakuza 4. I finished it.
Wow.
And like the internet I'd always read like how like this was kind of like a low point for the series, but like I ended up loving it. Like it's my favorite one since 0. So my rankings have been revised to my top 3 are Like a Dragon, which is the RPG, then 0, and now 4. So I'm like even
Wow.
more excited to try 5 now because I hear 5 is awesome and it sounds like 5 does a lot of the same stuff that 4 did. So it's like this is just like again, like I said, it's like my part-time job. Like
Just playing
like
through all these.
I do all my
What
work.
platform do you play them on?
I've been playing them all on PlayStation 5,
Okay.
but
Are some not on PS5, so you had to play on PS3?
only well no, there's I forget the official name. It's like Yakuza Remastered Collection or something. It has 3, 4, and 5 on it.
Oh, okay.
And that was a PlayStation 4 release. So I'm able
Oh,
to
okay.
play the entire franchise on PS5, even though only one of them is native PS5, just
Yeah.
like a dragon. So
Wait,
it's funny, like
is it now or is it still technically PS4?
no,
I
there was a
thought
PS5 release. There was a next gen release of
okay.
Like a Dragon. Yeah. That was how I started the franchise. But yeah, it's funny, like each game, like one to the next, like I never know if the graphics are gonna get dramatically better or worse. Cause
That's funny
like
because you don't know like the
Zero
extent of the remaster.
yeah, well, I mean, 0 was a PS4 game. Then Kiwami 1 came after 0, but then Kiwami 2 was remade like years later, so that one's actually the prettiest one until Like a
Wow.
Dragon. And then 3 is like butt
Huge
ugly
drop
compared to
off.
2, and then 4 is marginally better than 3, and then I hear 5's a good step up from 4. It's like whatever. I'm
That's
desensitized
funny.
to it. Yeah, so I'm like whatever. It's the same shenanigans every time, so I don't really care about the graphics that much, but like, yeah, this is Yakuza's joined like old Final Fantasy and Mega Man X as like my number 3 favorite franchise. That's a big
Wow.
deal.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. Number
Nice.
3.
it's
yeah,
cool. It's cool to
yeah,
discover it that far into the franchise too. Like there's
yeah,
been this many games that you could have been experiencing for this many years that you didn't
exactly.
know, and now
And you
you're
could
like,
have
oh my
like
god, this is
anticipated.
amazing. Right?
Yeah,
You could have
right.
been so excited for each one as they come out. Now you're just yeah, but
Now
yeah,
you
that's
have them
cool.
all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm realizing it's like a a comfort food sort of situation where like every game more or less takes place in the same place called Kamurocho, and then sometimes there's like related areas, like offshoot areas that you can travel to, but like you're guaranteed to always see the same place, and the gameplay, aside from the one I started with, which is full on RPG, like you know basically how the game's gonna play, and you know kind of the main characters, you kind of know where you're going, so it's just like it's comfortable. Like even though it's a new story each time, and that's my favorite part, like I know what I'm doing, you know,
Yeah.
Cool. So
and
Exactly.
also
it's the
what
same characters though, right? And those aren't some of them the same characters?
Yeah,
Or are they
like
all like brand new characters each game?
no, no, like each game has a frustrating habit of like casually killing off anyone that matters in like each new game, and then you're like resetting the board to like the same view for the next game. It gets kind
Yeah.
of frustrating. Like it's the worst part of the series is in I want to say literally every game there's a moment where you've defeated the bad guy, and then while you're busy talking, the bad guy reveals a secret extra gun and shoots somebody and kills someone that you like.
Someone
And
you
this
actually
happens
was
almost
like your
every
favorite
game.
character.
Yeah, like in almost every game this happens, and you'd think at some point they'd learn to like check their pockets. And like
Nope.
Yeah.
another thing is
Check
this
their
has happened
pockets.
Make
this has
sure he's
happened
actually dead.
yeah, this has happened I think more than once where literally like the good guy will prevail and they'll drop a gun and then the bad guy will just pick it up and shoot somebody. It makes
He's
no
like,
sense at all.
I have defeated you. Here is my gun.
Just drops the gun.
That was literally something that happened. It's like I don't know.
That's-
So that aside, I love these games.
Awesome. Brett, what are you playing?
So I finally finished the Skywalker Saga, the Lego Skywalker Saga. It took
Nice.
me a minute to like get into. I played them in the order of like the movies how they're released 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. And it was fun. I think playing other Lego games, I was expecting something to jive with me a little bit different than this did, but this played like less of a Lego game than other Lego games, if that makes sense. So it just didn't. I don't know. While it was fun and I enjoyed it, it took a minute before like I actually got to it. But then it was kind of cool, just like going back and experiencing all those movies over. But then after
Yeah.
that, I decided since there's no big games out, it's I'm going to go back to indie time, and I've got a couple indie games I've downloaded. Remember, like a couple months ago, where I played like 6 indie games, like back to back to back to
In
back.
like 1 month, yeah.
In like all within like a month, yeah. It's called Black the Fall, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's supposed to like the way when I heard about someone talk about it on a podcast, they described it as like a poor man's Inside, and I take that with a grain of salt because Inside is like I hold that game near and dear to my heart. That's one of my favorite games of all time. So when someone compares anything to Inside, I'm immediately like, okay, wait, you can't really compare a game to something of that caliber. But it's good. I'm enjoying it. It's kind of like the old puzzle platformer, like the Little Nightmares, Unravel, Limbo, Inside, those kind of games where it's like a puzzle game. You're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B, but the cool thing with this that does the same thing that Inside does is there's no spoken word, and it never explains why you are where you are and why you're trying to escape where you're escaping from. So it kind of has that like mystery to it where it's like it definitely is intriguing for sure. And it's only supposed to be like 3 or 4 hours long. I'm probably halfway through it right now, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's good. I like it.
Awesome.
This is like my comfort food. Like John was saying, the Yakuza is like his. I love me a good like puzzle platformer with no dialogue, like Unravel and Limbo and Inside. And I love games like this where it's just more or less you in like Little Nightmares where you're more or less just like kind of like taking the game for what it is and just playing it all the way through, and you're not like bombarded with a whole bunch of dialogue, which is like the opposite of Yakuza. But it's like it's like my comfort food for me.
Nice.
I beat 3 games this week since we last spoke on this podcast. Which one of them was Crossfire X, a terribly reviewed game. And I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. It was very scripted, but it was pretty. It was a lot of shooting and a lot of set pieces, and I just enjoy that. It felt like a standard Call of Duty campaign, just with not as good of shooting mechanics. It honestly didn't feel like that much of a step down from a Call of Duty campaign, in my opinion. I know a lot of people hated it and said it was absolutely abysmal, but I didn't really sense that. The story, no idea what's going on. I just didn't really pay attention to it, and I had a good time. It's only like $10, like half of it's on Game Pass, the other half is you have to pay for. It's a weird situation.
That was
Um,
weird.
Feud
I
games.
always thought that part was odd.
Like
It's
half the
split into two
campaign
parts.
is on Game Pass,
Half
but
had the first part is
Never
free
heard
and the
of such
second
a
part
thing.
you pay for. It's so weird.
it is
Yeah.
weird.
Like
But
apparently
it's
the
so obvious
multiplayer
that
was terrible.
the multiplayer was terrible, and like I was about to say, it's so obvious that the campaign was by a totally different developer. It feels way different. It looks different, and the game literally has to switch engines. Like when you click on the campaign, it actually is completely switch engines. I didn't even know
That's so
games could do that.
odd. That
Um,
is so odd.
but yeah, I
I'm still
thought
gonna
it
play
was
it.
enjoyable. I feel like anyone who likes Call of Duty campaigns would probably find some enjoyment out of Crossfire X. But anyway, another game I beat, Fallout 3. I started this one a few months ago, and I've just been slowly making my way through it. Just some really awesome open world freedom gameplay. Like I've never actually fully played through Fallout 3 until right now, which is crazy. I played it a lot, especially at the beginning, like in high school whenever it came out, like whenever I didn't really play a ton of video games in high school, but my brother was playing through it. I constantly saw this game, and I was like, yeah, I'm a Fallout fan. This is good. But this was the first time I ever actually played it from beginning to end, and it made me way more excited for Starfield, first off, because I think it's going to have the same sense of choice and just randomness that can happen in this world. Like there's situations you can get in where you can decide what happens. The game doesn't. You're like, I'm in control now. I'm doing this, and let's see what happens. And you do it, and you figure out, oh, I actually can do that. Like one thing I was telling Mary, there's this civilization full of kids, and they were like, this other place stole some of our kids, and they're keeping them captive. So I went to the other place, and they're like, we're not letting you in here. But if you go get us some slaves that definitely deserve to be in here, trust me, then you can earn your spot and come into our civilization or our place. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I was going to see how far this would let me take. I knew deep down I'm going to blow this guy's head off. But I wanted to see like what would happen. So I'm like, well, I'm going to need some ammunition if you want me to go do this job. So he's like, all right, here's this gun. So he gives me this bitchin' gun. I'm like, sweet, I just got an awesome gun from this guy. Now I'm about to blow his head off with it. So I do exactly that. I blow his head off. I go into the town. I kill all the people who are rounding up slaves. I let all the slaves out. They go back to their little civilization. The kids, the adults, everyone's free. I get back there, and it actually paid off. The stuff that I did, I saved the slaves, the kid slaves. One of the kid slaves that I saved, his sister, actually, he was actually fine. I saved his sister. He ends up letting me into the vault that I needed to get into, and he knew how to do it, so I didn't have to go through this crazy hard section with all these enemies. I actually just got to cut straight to the vault, which was just like really cool. Like something I did actually paid off. And if Starfield has that type of interactions and that choice and that freedom, it's going to be like one of the best games ever. Because Fallout 3, I mean, a lot of people there's sort of like a revisionist history. Like Fallout 3 sucked all along now. I don't know why people would say that. The game is amazing.
Mhm.
And it's just fantastic. And I cannot wait to see what Starfield's going to be like truly, because I feel like it's going to take more from Fallout than it is from like the Elder Scrolls. They're very similar, but I just feel like it's going to be sort of like a Fallout game in space.
Yeah,
But
I think a lot of people, feel that
Yep.
same way.
yeah, and then I won't go on too much longer because we got to get out of here. But I also beat Sonic Lost World, which was one of the best Sonic games I've ever played. That being said, still has problems. The platforming is hit or miss. Like you'll go through an amazing level, and then the next one will completely suck, and you'll be like dying and bored and just. But there's some really high moments and some like genuinely fun moments with like great level design, great music, great visuals for a Wii U game. Like it was actually really solid, and I enjoyed it. Probably one of the best Sonic games ever, to be honest.
I would play it
So
too if it came to Switch, but
what, Eric? And can people hear you talking, Eric, or am I talking to
I
God?
can't.
No, I didn't play the
DLC.
Zelda DLC. I
Me
forgot all about
neither.
that.
Yeah.
It's free?
It's free?
Oh,
Huh.
they're
Dang,
awesome.
I missed
I'm
out on
definitely
that.
gonna check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
I really liked the style of the game. It's very limiting compared to other Sonic games where it's like free roaming and whatnot. Like you're on like a cylinder a lot of the time, where you're like just on the set path, and there's like different ways you can take. But I don't know. It felt different, and it was really cool how like the it almost felt like the whole world was spinning, which it was kinda, but
Yeah.
it feels like Sonic is in place and you're spinning the world and not Sonic. Like I don't know. It was fun, but that's it. Sorry, I'm stumbling my words a little bit. I'm really tired, which is why we're ending the show a little quicker than usual. But Mary, if people want to know where to find you, where can they go?
You can find me here on this podcast. You can also find me over at the Destructoid Show on TikTok and Snapchat. And you can
Yes.
find my channels, Mary Wants a Cookie, on Twitter and Twitch.
Awesome. And definitely check out the Destructoid Show. We've been making some really good content, I feel like probably the best content that ever existed. So check that out. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. Same. I think my handle's here B_Lark24, and you can find me here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
There you go. John, what about you?
You can find me in the streets of Kamurocho, fighting the good fight in Yakuza.
Exactly. Finally had one for us.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I haven't been thinking about it much lately. But you can catch me on Twitter at my name at John Frisha. And I write stuff at Escapist, so swing on by the Escapist website. And I'm making the game Boss Saga, boss-saga.com. Play as the bosses, beat up some good guys. I just finished writing a new script about a dragon. Looking forward to you guys playing that in about 10 years.
All right, on your PS7.
There you go.
Do you have any kind of an idea where realistically when you think it might come out? Like a couple of years, few years?
At the absolute earliest, a couple years, because I need to commission so many art assets. In addition to finishing writing the script, I have a lot more writing to do. There's a lot of work to be done.
I didn't know how early you were in the project.
Yeah.
Like if you were.
Well,
Okay,
we've been
cool.
working on it for quite a while. It's just that we only have so much time in a given day to dedicate to it, so it's
And it's only
bit by
like two
bit.
or three of you too, right?
It's just me and my brother.
Just you and your brother.
Yep.
You know what? Just I'll write a quest as long as you give me 50% of all sales.
We'll see how it
Um,
goes.
I was gonna say there's some bargain deals right now. You can buy Tomb Raider and a bunch of other stuff for only $300 million. So
Yeah, maybe
Perfect.
Buy a
Embracer
studio.
Group will. Maybe Embracer Group.
Yeah,
will
maybe
will
Embracer
scoop
will
you on
buy
up,
you.
John.
You just gotta make me an offer, man.
My offer is $3. Just $3, please. All right, and I am over on TikTok at Destructoid and on Twitter at BrettNLL. And we've been uploading our Snapchat show that's also on TikTok every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Snapchat, and then throughout the week on TikTok. And yeah, please go check that out. I feel like we've been hitting our stride, making a lot of funny content.
Oh.
Mary's been doing some rants. It's been fun. So yeah,
Pretty good.
this has been Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where we come at you every single Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It would mean a lot. And please leave us a review. Thank you for listening or watching. We will see you guys later. Goodbye.